It's another beautiful morning. How are you doing? Welcome to the Jam 316 Relationship Clinic. Every Thursday we get together between 8 and 9 and we discuss issues, relationships, marriage, because marriages are under a lot of strain and a lot of attack. And so we have this platform where we are able to discuss different issues that we face in our relationships and in our marriages and help one another. One issue that is very dicey, especially in the church circles, it's the whole issue of divorce, because God does say in his word that he hates divorce. Sometimes I think we forget that though he hates divorce, he does not hate the divorcee, because God loves all people. And sometimes in our church circles, we don't really know how to interact and how to deal with those who are already divorced. You know, some of us look at it as the unpardonable sin, but it isn't. God loves the divorcees. You know, divorce happens, and today I want us to look at why it happens. What are some of the main reasons why people end up at the divorce court and decide it's over? You know, people who've been together 15 years, 20 years, 2 years, some don't even finish a year, and you end up in that court and you decide, you know what, kila mtu aende njia yake, this thing was not meant to be, this thing is not working. And so we will find time and just connect with an advocate who looks into divorce issues and then hear from her perspective what are some of the main reasons in this country that people end up in the divorce court. But before we get to her, I want to ask you the same question. In your opinion, what would you say are some of the main reasons why people end up in divorce? I already had quite a number of people responding when I asked this question on my radio show earlier on, and one of the things that several people are saying is the whole issue of infidelity. I don't know if you agree with that or you think otherwise. So let me know via SMS on 20316 and WhatsApp on 0786 316 316. In your opinion, what are some of the main reasons why married couples end up divorcing? Before we get into our discussion for today, Eden tea, Gashai, it's very important to have a Gashai every day. And Eden tea is the way to go because it is truly the finest garden tea. And Eden tea cares for you and I, reminding us in this season to work together to flatten the COVID-19 curve. How do we do that? Washing our hands with soap and running water, putting on our face masks, cover your mouth and your nose, maintain interpersonal distance, avoid crowded places. It's so interesting how simple things become hard to do. We began with psych, but we've begun losing momentum. Let's go back to those things because those things are helping us to flatten the curve. Remember, Eden tea comes to you in a variety of flavors. Eden green tea, Eden purple tea, Eden lemon tea, Eden ginger tea, and Eden premium tea. Available at leading outlets, affordable prices. Try it out today. You will not regret it. So this morning on the clinic, we are talking about divorce and asking ourselves, what are some of the main reasons that people divorce? And I have a couple of comments that are coming in. Joe from Umoja says, my take on divorce is that it springs up from lack of communication. I have another one from, you haven't given me your name. Oh, Wycliffe. Wycliffe says, I think some in-laws could be some of the causes why people end up divorcing. And then this one says, we are told to submit, but to what level does it require for us? Is it give and take in marriage? That's more of a question than a reason. So we want to get into this discussion. This morning I'm so glad to have Beatrice Maina with us. Beatrice is an advocate. Beatrice, how are you doing?
Thank you. I'm very well.
Karibu sana. Good to have you on the Relationship Clinic today.
Asante sana.
You know, this whole issue of divorce, especially for Christians, sometimes becomes an issue that we don't want to talk about. But, you know, the numbers keep going high and high and high. I don't know if you have any kind of statistics to let us know the divorce rate in the country, or maybe even during this season of the pandemic.
Thank you very much for inviting me for this conversation, which is something a lot of people don't want to talk about. The statistics, what I would say during this period that people have been home and the economic situation has not been very well, the divorce rates, I would give a percentage. I would hesitate to give a percentage because on my part, I've received numerous clients, maybe in a month about 5 matters per month. Wow. And I'm only the only advocate. I'm just on my own. There are around 15,000 other advocates.
Yeah, yeah.
So count 5 for me alone. That means times the others. How many are there?
Those are many.
And when you look at the cost lists, the court cost lists, you notice on the divorce list, you'll see in a matter per magistrate, you will see several matters in every day. In today's cost list on the listed matters. So that shows you that the matters filed in court are many, and there are also several others that have not been filed for one reason or another, because probably someone does not know how to go about filing a petition, or maybe they are afraid to even, it's a big decision to file a petition.
Very true.
Or they don't have legal counsel. Filing a divorce petition, you need someone to guide you, an advocate to guide you to do the petition, to draft those pleadings, to file. It's also a process, because now that there's no physical court, court is online. If you are not knowledgeable in terms of how to go about the court system, how to get into the judiciary online e-filing, then you're stuck. So what I have realized lately, I get calls from a lot of clients. They don't know how to go about divorce, but they have not filed, but they're separated. So a lot of couples have separated, but not necessarily filed the formal petition in court, but they are living apart.
Okay. Does the law consider that to be a divorce already, when couples haven't filed officially for the divorce, but they're living separately?
The court doesn't consider it to be an official divorce, but the court will consider that separation when eventually you go for the formal divorce in court. That period that you have been apart with your spouse will be considered in reaching the final decision whether to dissolve the marriage or not.
Okay. So on the whole issue of filing for a divorce, is it that both of them come and file, or is it one files and serves the other? How does it work? And who from your experience, if that's how it works, who files more? Is it more men than women, or more women than men?
You cannot file together, because the law does not allow you to divorce by consent. You're not allowed to agree that you are divorcing. In fact, if you go and say we have agreed we are divorcing, it's not happening.
Hiya.
Yes. What a lot of people don't know is what you watch in the movies is not what happens in this country, because the laws in US are different.
Yes.
In US, you're allowed to, because I get a lot of calls from clients, then they tell me, oh, can we just come and sign to divorce? There's nothing like that in this country. You cannot sign to divorce. It's not what happens in movies. In movies they say, oh, I'm serving you papers, can you sign?
Yeah.
But in Kenya, there is nothing like signing to consent to divorce. You have one party has to move to court, file a divorce petition. It's called a divorce petition. Then alongside the petition, there's something called a notice to appear. So once you file the petition, the notice to appear is signed by the magistrate. Then once it's signed, then a court process server serves the other party, who is now the respondent. Then after they are served, then now they are given about 14 days to file their response to the petition. The petition now has the allegations, probably adultery, cruelty, desertion. Those are some of the grounds that are legally allowed to divorce. Some of those, there are those terms that in the Marriage Act, they are grounds for divorce. So I think I would like to demystify that notion that you can consent to divorce. That only happens in the movies, not in this country.
Okay. So from your experience, who files more? Looking at the clients you've dealt with so far, is it more men filing or more women filing?
I could say more women filing. Yes, more women are filing.
Wow. That says something about us men. Let's get into the nitty-gritties of this, because my hope for this discussion is for us to be able to talk about what are some of the main reasons from your experience that people end up contacting you and end up in divorce? Because if we can know some of those reasons, then we can actually protect our marriages. You know, it is said to be forewarned is to be forearmed. So what is the main, what give us some of the main reasons in your experience? What is top of the shelf reason why people end up getting divorced in this country?
Top of the shelf reason is one, adultery.
Ooh, okay.
Adultery is a major reason.
Uh-huh.
Probably one of the parties, either but mostly it's the men who are alleged to be in adulterous situations. But sometimes you'll find very few times the woman is alleged to be adulterous, but most of the time it's the man. Number two reason is cruelty. Cruelty doesn't have to be physical abuse. Sometimes it's emotional.
Yeah.
Because sometimes someone doesn't have to hit you to be abusing you.
Yeah.
Yes. Now we have people who have narcissistic personality disorders, which is also a form of abuse. So those are the two main reasons people are divorcing: cruelty and adultery.
Okay, let's look at the adultery issue from your experience. Is it that this is something that happened once, or is it something that has been happening consistently, and so the other party decides, you know what, I can't deal with this? You know, what's usually the main scenario in most of the cases where adultery is concerned? Is it a one-time thing, or is it a habit that this person has and they're not willing to change?
I think women are naturally very tolerant. So women ordinarily, let me just say, most of the time, a woman will forgive you once, forgive you twice. So the instances I have encountered are serial adulterous situations. And most of the time, the woman even knows the other woman.
Yeah. She
even has the name, the phone number. Probably they have even communicated and exchanged words. Yes.
Wow. I'm just wondering, how do the men react with this kind of a situation? Do you ever find cases where the man is remorseful and they're trying to save the marriage, or is it just a don't care attitude?
Well, a lot of men will deny. A lot of men actually now shift and say, no, she's the one who is adulterous, to shift blame. And because nobody really wants to admit that they are adulterous. I have not found one instance where a man has admitted that, yes, it's true.
Not
Never.
Even one?
Not even one.
Oh, my goodness. I think that's the male ego, eh?
It's deny to the end.
That's bad, man. That's bad. Not even one. Man, our record is bad. Have you ever handled a case where it was the woman who was adulterous?
Yes. I have handled one. And, I think, unfortunately, society judges women more harshly than men.
Very true.
Sometimes people consider it's okay for a man to cheat, but when a woman cheats, it's like the whole world has stopped. So I have encountered maybe 3 situations where the woman is the one who has cheated, and there is enough proof. A woman has continued to sire a child out of marriage with someone out of marriage, and there was enough evidence in terms of DNA and whatnot. But I could say it's very rare. Most of the instances it's the man, but the woman is very rare.
Okay. For the cases you've dealt with where it's the woman who was adulterous, were they remorseful? Ama they behaved like the men and denied?
Of course, until the DNA results, for example, there's a child born out of the marriage.
Yeah.
That is the only time now someone will say, okay, fine, it's true, I cheated. But most of the time, nobody wants to really admit they have cheated. Yeah.
Okay.
So I have neither found on the part of the woman someone who openly admits that, yes, I have been adulterous.
Wow.
Yes.
One of the things I keep wondering about Wakili is that when I look back at our parents' generation, Issues of adultery were there. I mean, a good number of us come from families where we have stepbrothers and stepsisters. You know, some of them you even get to discover them when you're a bit older. But cases of divorce were not, unless I'm mistaken, I don't think cases of divorce were as many as we have today. So I'm just wondering, why is that the case? Is it that now people are more enlightened, or is it that now, I don't know. I don't know what your opinion would be on that whole scenario.
I would say when our parents, those times for our parents, I think you will not find our generation, you will not find a divorced parent in our people of our age.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because women now are enlightened, women now are educated, women are no longer really housewives.
Yeah.
And therefore, the tolerance of tolerating or being patient and waiting is very low now.
Mm-hmm.
Because the times of our mothers, most of the times they were staying at home. If you look back, actually our fathers would even go missing for a week or even a month, and our moms would be waiting patiently for them to come back and not even raise alarm, not even cause any chaos. But now, because of we've been more enlightened,
Mm-hmm.
and times have changed, that is why the tolerance levels and the patience to tolerate that a man has gone missing for a month, and
Yeah.
you just keep the tolerance rate is now very low.
Okay. Okay. And what would
Yeah.
you think would be some of the reasons why we are having a lot more issues where adultery is concerned, especially on the men part? You know, some women have come to the place where they've believed every man is like that, no man is faithful. I don't agree with that line of thought. So from your experience and just interacting with these scenarios and talking to different people, what would your conclusion be? Why is it that there are a lot more adulterous cases in this generation?
I would contribute it to social media and phones.
Are you for real?
Yes, because actually all my matters where I have handled, especially where one of the grounds for divorce is adultery,
Mm-hmm.
it's always about text messages, WhatsApp messages, Messenger on Facebook.
Yes.
It's just about the phone. The main issue, the phone always has to come up. Actually, I have rarely found one situation where the phone has not come up.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Okay. So technology has a
Yes.
part to play in this.
Technology has well assisted in maybe doing business and whatnot, but
Yeah.
also has also contributed a very big part in divorce and because I think the times for our fathers there was no phone. How would you prove that your husband is cheating? Because there's no really evidence. He just
Yeah.
goes and comes back.
Yeah.
So, and now you'll find that someone's phone, you'll hear someone saying, oh, there's this woman who calls at 3 a.m. or she calls at midnight, or the other woman is calling the wife to insult her. It's just basically about technology.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Do you have any questions for us today? Today we are looking at some of the main reasons why couples end up divorcing. Maybe if you have an experience you want to share, you're free to do so. I can see several people have already sent in their messages. If you have a question as well, you can send in your question. Men, our track record is not looking good this morning. We need to style up and we need to own up to our mistakes. And we need to be the men that we are called to be. Oh my goodness, God help us. 20316 SMS, WhatsApp 0786 316 316. Today we are looking at some of the main reasons why people end up divorcing. We have Beatrice Maina in studio via Zoom. She is an advocate and she's just sharing with us some of the experiences and some of the observations she's been making through her work. I have a message here from Moses. Moses said, good morning. I thank God for the day. My opinion, divorce is on the increase because the believer's faith is growing weaker every day. People are not being anchored in the word of God as it should be. Things like forgiveness, people are preaching but not doing. We should be doers of the word. And you say, have a good day. You also say, one thing I resolved by myself is to keep my phone without a password. That is where infidelity begins. My marriage was about to break years back. simply because of the phone. But I thank God that it has stood. We celebrate you today. Thank you for sending in that message. Your messages are coming in on 20316, WhatsApp on 0786 316 316. Wakili, I'm just curious. Do you ever have issues where people come, filing for divorce, but in the midst of all that, they eventually change their mind? Is that something that
Yes,
happens, and how common is it?
yes, I have actually had instances where we actually we went to hearing and we were waiting for judgment, and they reconciled.
Wow.
So we had to quickly go back to court and tell the judge not to do the judgment, and they have changed their mind. But it happens, but not so often. Yes, because the instances I have encountered, by the time a party is coming to look for an advocate, they have moved on. Probably they have actually other spouses.
Okay.
One of the parties has remarried. Okay, you're not allowed to remarry legally. Remarried meaning come we stay. So most of the time people don't rush to court. They take 2-4 years, have met other people, and have set each other free.
Okay.
Yes. So the instances where parties have reconciled are very rare, because by the time they come to court, they have both moved on.
Okay. There's something you mentioned there in passing, which I think is also important. Maybe you need to clarify to us the whole issue of not being allowed to remarry if you are the other marriage is still intact, because several times we've seen in our media cases where a wedding is happening place, alafu mama anaingia na mtoto anasema that man is my husband, and they cause a scene and all that. So what does the law really say about that whole area?
The law only allows you to conduct, the law allows you to date another wife, but not to conduct a Christian marriage. You cannot conduct 2 Christian marriages. You can only do 1 Christian marriage, and the subsequent one to be a customary one, not a Christian one.
Okay. That's
yes.
I think that's a very interesting thing right there. Before we talk about the whole aspect of emotional abuse, because you said that's also a leading cause, I'm just wondering, in your place, in your position as you help all these people, what kind of effect does divorce have on people? And where children are concerned, what kind of effect have you seen it having on children as well?
Unfortunately, the people who bear the brunt of divorce is the children. Not, adults move on, meet other people, and but children are innocent. Children don't know anything else apart from mommy and daddy.
Yeah.
So when mommy and daddy are no longer living under the same roof, and probably the child is not of age that they can be able to understand that people break up, or people, it causes some sort of confusion, especially if a child is not like maybe below 7 years, because I think at 7 years, that's when children begin. You can maybe try and say, daddy, know things about, okay, it's difficult to explain to a child that you're divorced, but you can find the right words. But for the younger children, it affects them to a great extent. But I think what God has done, God has given children a capacity to adjust very fast.
Okay.
Initially, it affects them, but with time, they adjust. And what I encourage is, you might be divorced, but don't drag your dirty linen to your children. Don't tell your children what happened. That's between you and your spouse. It doesn't concern your children. Children are just children.
Okay.
Just be modest about it, no matter how murky the divorce is or the circumstances are. Yeah. Just keep your child out of the mud.
Several weeks ago, I hosted a gentleman who's just going through this whole process of divorce, and we were just finding out from him lessons he has learned along this journey. And on the whole aspect of children, he was saying it was very hard for the children, and he was saying children are very simplistic. And so when the children were made aware that dad is moving out of the house because things are not working, because between daddy and mommy, he told us that his son looked at him and he told him, if things are not working between you and mommy, move in with me, move to my room. we can hang out together, meeting a beef now. And I thought, wow, yeah, children do get affected. But there's one thing that gentleman said, and that's why I was asking the question about how divorce affects people, because he said, I was asking him, how did it affect you? And he said, divorce is a very bad thing because you actually feel like somebody has died. Those were his words. He said, I felt like somebody had died because I have been with this woman for, I think they had been together for about 10, 11 years. And so he was saying how our lives were intertwined. Our decisions were intertwined. I mean, it was a ripping apart, and it was the pain of losing somebody who had died. And I thought, that is deep. That is deep.
Yes. Actually, that is very accurate. Divorce is death. And the worst part about divorce being like death is because it is like death, but it is death when you know that someone is alive. You can imagine,
Yeah.
there's no closure. There's no closure because when someone dies in real life, they're never going to come back. It's closure. The fact that you have gone through the you've seen them go down.
Yeah, you've buried them. Yes.
6 feet under.
Yes.
That is a closure in itself, and it helps you to heal faster. But divorce is worse because they're not dead. They're somewhere, and I think it becomes, actually, I would say it is worse than death.
Yes, very, very true.
Yes.
Very true. So let's talk about the whole issue of emotional abuse. You said that's also another leading cause. Maybe you can give us more information about that one.
Emotional abuse means, for example, I would give instances where your spouse is not talking to you, you're in the same house, you're not talking, or they manipulate you emotionally. I spoke about one of the, I'm privileged to have read a bit about narcissism.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't understand about narcissistic personality disorders. And a lot of people are living with narcissists. And narcissists, they have no remorse, no empathy, no nothing. They're just empty shells. And because a lot of people don't know about narcissistic personality disorder, they don't know what they're dealing with.
Yes.
Because this man is emotionally abusing me, but they don't know what this is. And they develop a post-traumatic stress disorder.
Wow.
They develop depression. Actually, the rate of depression and suicide is actually contributed by emotional abuse, not even the physical.
Okay.
Because an emotionally abusive person will manipulate you to suit them such that you lose yourself. You lose who you are. You no longer know who you are, and you have to fit into what they want you to become.
Yeah.
So that is what I would simply describe as emotional abuse.
Okay. Does it happen more? Who are the main culprits? Is it the men or the women?
The men have. I'm not against men, honestly, but
you're just telling us your experiences. Me, I just want your experiences because you're a lawyer. You do this, so in your experience, is it men or women who are the most culprits?
Most culprits of who are emotionally abusing the other party mostly are men.
Wow.
Yes, because I think also, even when I have read, because I've taken my own responsibility to study about like what I spoke about, narcissistic personality disorder.
Yeah.
I realized even those research from different psychiatrists, psychologists, they say that more men are narcissists than women. But there are, I don't want to also say that there are no women who are narcissistic.
Yeah.
They are there.
Okay.
It's just that the men are more, probably because also men have a way of detaching. There's a way men don't attach emotion to things. Even if a man is not a narcissist, men can just detach and act like you don't exist. And that is also a form of emotional abuse, because I have had instances of people living under one roof but sleeping in different bedrooms. That is also emotional abuse.
Yes.
Because what kind of torture? You can imagine having your spouse in the other bedroom. You're not talking. Yani, what I would say in Kenyan language, mnapitana kwa corridor.
Yeah.
That's very emotional abuse,
Yeah.
because what does that do to you?
Wow, that can destroy you.
Yes.
Yeah. So, in your opinion, Beatrice, would I be correct in saying that if men got their act together, we would have fewer divorce and separation cases?
I honestly think so, because the way women are built, women have a high tolerance to. I think a woman, we are very, I would say, malleable. Women are just easily and are not as rigid as men are.
Okay.
A woman will become who you make her. A woman will make a child. What does that show you? She makes a child out of the most simplest thing, the most simplest cell. A woman just makes what you give her. When you give her problems, she will give you problems back. That's just the way we are wired. We build things from what we are given.
Yes, women are naturals.
Yes, we are natural. So I think if men could do better, the rates of divorce would go. Because like this period for Corona, why the divorce rate has also been high is because there's curfew at 10 p.m. You're forced to be home probably by 9.
Yeah.
This man was used to coming home at 3 a.m., you know? So you can imagine if what he feels coming home early, and he's used to coming home in the morning. Of course, there's some sort of stress he's
Very
going
true.
through, because he's not used to what he used to do.
Yeah.
And what does he do? Because of that stress, he starts now stressing people in the house,
Yeah.
And that is what I have actually, with the divorce case I've handled during this period. The issue has been the man comes home, starts causing fracas. You meet people in peace, but because you're annoyed, because you can't be where you used to be
Yeah.
at midnight, now you start harassing people in the house.
Wow, that's sad.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering that do you have a lot of cases where domestic violence is a cause for divorce? Because one of the things we've also seen in this year, because of the pandemic and because of people being confined to the home space, we've seen a rise in cases of domestic violence. So I don't know if you handle a lot of those cases as well.
Yes, divorce. Apart from when I talked about cruelty,
Yeah.
cruelty is either mental or physical.
Okay.
So I have also a lot of cases also have come up in terms of physical abuse, because when emotional abuse now goes beyond, parties now start turning against each other physically, which is very unfortunate, because I have had an instance where the other spouse actually killed the other in the process
Oh my
of
goodness.
domestic violence, which is very unfortunate. That being said, also the physical violence also impacts the child negatively, because when the children see mommy and daddy fighting,
Yeah.
that's all they know. Meaning, when they get to adulthood and have their families, they think it's okay. If you have a girl, she thinks it's okay to be hit. And if you have a boy, he thinks it's okay to hit a woman, which is very wrong. Yeah.
Very true. What about issues of money? I've always thought money is one of the main contributors of divorce. Especially, I find that we live in a time where a lot of us are selfish. We think of me first before we think of somebody else, even in marriage. So do you have a lot of issues that come up ending in divorce because of finances?
Yes. I would not say it is the main reason.
Okay.
I would not put it as a main reason, but I think finances, yes, affect marriages to a great extent, because it also becomes draining on one party when it's the other party doing all the work. Because I have had instances of one party saying, I'm the one who pays all the bills, he does not assist or she does not assist, and it's draining on me. And you see, once the way human beings are wired, once you're stressed about something like money, that means that stress will transit to something else, because you cannot be happy when you're stressed.
Yeah.
So I would say finances have led now to some sort of stress level in that marriage. Then that leads to the breakdown, we call it irretrievably broken down. That's the term used legally, that the marriage has irretrievably broken down. But now we might not say because of money, because money now causes other problems.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Okay. What about in-laws? Cases of
Yeah.
interference by in-laws?
Yes, cases of interference of in-laws have been there, but fortunately, I believe, or what I have seen, is a lot of men, when a man really wants a woman, he stands up for her.
Yeah.
Regardless of what your in-laws have to say. So I think what I've seen, the instances where in-laws have been able to meddle successfully is where already that marriage had cracks.
Yes.
So but not a solid marriage, because when the marriage is solid, the man stands up and tells the in-laws that, look, this is my wife, you need to respect our boundaries and our marriage, and they stand up, and it works perfectly. But when there are other cracks in that marriage, and now in-laws they'll stream into that crack, and that is now a problem. But I would not say in-laws would be the main reason. They're just the main reason when already that marriage has issues, not as a main reason. But when a marriage is solid and the man stands up, no.
Okay, wow. Our time is almost up, Wakili, but what would you say to the married couples today? Because you stand at a position where you're able to see how the whole divorce process affects people and what it does, like as you said, especially to the children. So for the couples who are married, what advice can you give them?
The advice I would give couples who are married is that you need to be tolerant of the other person, because you are two individuals from two different backgrounds, two different personalities, and I would just say some level of tolerance is needed for you to sail through, because you need to understand the other party. I think what happens is when you're two bulls fighting and nobody wants to come down, then definitely that marriage will come crashing down. So I would advise that if you're married, be tolerant. Be tolerant of the other party. Try to understand what they like, what they don't like, and what they don't like also avoid. If someone doesn't like quarreling, don't also be quarrelsome, because then that is a freak. Just understand your spouse. And for those who are not married, take your time. Know your spouse before you get married. Don't rush. Don't rush because society, people, your aunties and your uncles and your parents are telling you to lini. Because rushing into marriage is now also what is causing because you start discovering your spouse in marriage, which is also something I've realized during this corona period, is that a lot of people now are learning each other in marriage. They didn't know each other. Now they are realizing, oh, Kumbe, you have this habit. So take your time if you're not married. But if you're married, work on it. Be tolerant. But if it gets to a point that it's physical and it's leading you to depression, then I don't want to advocate for divorce, but I also don't like seeing people dying as a result of marriage.
I agree. Yeah, there are times you need to take a time out and just separate, because your life is at risk. Finally, Daktari, before I call it a day, I'm just curious about this one. What age bracket do you see a lot of people getting divorced? Is it people who are 0 to 5 years in marriage, or 0 to 10, or over 10? What's the ako ka cluster kanakuaga wapi?
I would say 0 to 5 and 5 to 10.
Okay. Wow.
Yes. Because I think the early stages of marriage are rocky for many people. Why? Because the early stages is when you're discovering things about this person. Then you discover things you don't like. You're trying to... What I have noticed also, there's a divorce I did. The parties only cohabited for 2 weeks.
What?
Like they got married today. They didn't divorce after 2 weeks, because of course there is that period that the law, you're not allowed to just go to court immediately. But they cohabited for 2 weeks.
Wow.
And yes, because they realized they can't deal. They were living separately.
Yeah.
So in that 2 weeks, it was too much,
Okay.
and they just couldn't live together. So I have I've realized also 0 to 5 is the rates of divorce are very high, 0 to 5.
Okay. Wow. Wakili,
Yeah.
thank you for your time. I believe that through what you've given us today, people are able to learn some of the things that they need to pay attention to. Men, we need to get our act together as the leaders. You know the way we keep saying Mindio Dume, Mindio Simba, and you want the woman to submit. My friend, we need to get our heads on straight and get our act together if marriages are going to survive. Wakili, thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you very much.
I'm out of time for today. Thank you for being a part of the Relationship Clinic this morning, even as we looked at some of the main reasons why people divorce. I hope you have learned a thing or two.
For this and more of our shows, log on to www.familymediaonline.com to enjoy a wide variety of programs from current affairs to testimonials and features, pastoral and inspirational shows, kids entertainment, and so much more. Also stream live on www.familymedia.tv.